And that brings us to the last point that I wanted to raise in this discussion, which is Porter's 5 forces versus Blue Ocean strategy. Let's remember that the text evaluates the strengths and weaknesses of the 5 types of business level strategies using Porter's 5 forces. Now, I'm not going to go through what the text did. You can read it. You can think about it. You can decide whether you buy what they did or didn't do in the book. But fundamentally, their approach was to say that the 5 forces is the way that you evaluate what works and what doesn't. But as I've said a number of times now, Porter's analysis is part of a more than 25-year-old orthodoxy of strategic theory. It's fundamentally predicated on the assumption that strategy is driven by competitive dynamics largely within existing industries and markets. And it's part of the red oceans concepts, which basically you drive strategy in the, quote, red oceans, which are bloodied by efforts to, quote, beat the competition. It's about brutal competition within industries. And you're exploiting largely existing demand. You're not appealing to new demand. You're not creating new demand. You're not thinking about where we should be in the future. You're often focused on how you eat more of the current market. And in this model, you're typically forced to make value-cost trade-offs, unless you can use integrated cost leadership and differentiation in the center box of the model we just discussed. That is right here. So to the extent that you can achieve that integrated cost leadership and differentiation, you may not need to make a trade-off. But as I said in the risks, the view in traditional strategic orthodoxy is that you risk being sort of an also-ran in all of the other 4 boxes, that you're neither differentiating on the basis of cost nor differentiation and innovation. And this is where the red oceans meet the blue oceans. Blue ocean strategy, what is it? It's something that may result in a different view about the 5 types of business level strategies and the way we view strategy more generally. And I think it's a very important add-on. It's not something we think about in lieu of Porter, but a supplement to the way that we think about strategy in terms of the way that Porter has framed the debate, in terms of the way that our textbook has framed the debate. Instead of traveling the vicious competitive waters of the red oceans, we need to consider value innovation of blue oceans. These are the terms used in the theory of blue ocean strategy. Here's a sort of layout, here's a chart that kind of compares the red ocean strategy, which is the current sort of orthodoxy, the Porter-driven model, and blue ocean strategy. Red ocean strategies are focused on current customers. Blue ocean strategies are focused on non-customers, the customers you should be creating as opposed to the customers you have today. Red ocean strategies compete in existing markets. Blue ocean strategies create in uncontested markets. Create uncontested markets to serve. Red ocean strategies are about beating the competition. Blue ocean strategies are about making the competition irrelevant. Red ocean strategies exploit existing demand. Blue ocean strategies create and capture new demand. Red ocean strategies make the value-cost trade-off that we discussed earlier. Blue ocean strategies break the value-cost trade-off and find a way to create value innovation. Finally, red ocean strategies align the whole system of a firm's activities with its strategic choice or differentiation or low cost, while, and again, when I say a system of firms' activities, that is the sort of Southwest Airlines system, whereas blue ocean strategies align the whole system of a firm's activities in pursuit of differentiation and low cost. And to some degree, if you think about it, Southwest Airlines is probably the preeminent example of a blue ocean strategy, even though typically it would be analyzed from a red ocean strategy perspective. with this sort of very brief introduction, and there is a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which I've summarized in my posting, my blog this week, which goes into much more detail about red ocean versus blue ocean and what blue ocean strategy is. And I'm not going to cover that here in this lecture. I want you to please read the materials that I've posted in BStrat 450 Network regarding blue ocean strategy, regarding the book itself, which, by the way, I would encourage you to read if you're at all interested in playing a role in strategy in the future. It is one of the most critical and important books about strategy of the past few years, and certainly I think it is the book that will reframe discussions about strategy in a way that will be the Michael Porter analysis of the next 20 to 25 years. So I encourage you to read the book, but what I've done is put together a blog which explains it, which links you to the Blue Ocean Strategy website, and which has more detailed information. You need to navigate as I've described in my blog. And then I've put together a discussion on the Blue Ocean Strategy and Cirque du Soleil. As part of your reading and viewing, think about how you'd approach, that approach, the Blue Ocean Strategy approach, would differ from Porter's 5 forces in terms of evaluating the 5 types of business level strategies we discussed today. This isn't a discussion topic. It's just something you should be thinking about as you review the materials I've posted. And then spend a fair amount of time learning BOS in the materials that I've provided. I will expect that you will incorporate some of what you've learned, not only this week in our discussions, but on an ongoing basis. I want you to think about how you will compare and contrast Blue Ocean Strategy and Porter's 5 forces, or what I've called the traditional orthodoxy of strategic thinking, in some of our other discussions in the future, how you might incorporate it into your team projects, how you might incorporate it into your periodic chapter assignments. So please spend a fair amount of time thinking about this material closely and thoughtfully, because it will come up again, including in the final exam. I'd like to see that you thought about it. So I would encourage you, as you put together your materials for this course, since this isn't in the book, that you print what you need and keep pretty copious notes about what is meant by Blue Ocean Strategy, what its underpinnings are, so that you're in a position to be able to use those materials on the exam, which will be open book and open notes.